Catching fleas and visiting brothels, the wild paintings of 17th-century Dutch artists, honestly depicting real life. Not all artists in the 17th century painted formal, dull portraits and commissioned works. Even at that time, there were true innovators and provocateurs who sought something new in art, choosing themes far from the elevated and beautiful. Their work irritated many, including influential figures like the Pope, but they had the courage to stick to their path. These were the artists of the Bamboccianti group. In the 17th century, Rome was the center of the art world. Ambitious painters from all over flocked there to admire the works of the old masters, learn from the greats, and simply experience real art, which was firmly associated with Italian painting. Among these artists were graduates of our own Academy of Fine Arts who were lucky enough to secure a funded trip, but most of them were Dutch and Flemish painters. It all started with Karel van Mander's trip in 1604, during which he wrote the famous book Schilderboek, or the Book of Painters. Van Mander knew what he was talking about. It took him 3 years to reach Rome, visiting every artist's workshop he encountered along the way. His book went through many editions and became a kind of guide for young Dutch artists. See Rome, and don't just survive, but grow into a true master. Most didn't have the money for such a long and expensive trip, so they traveled in stages, sometimes even on foot, picking up work as they went. These journeys sometimes stretched over many years. Some artists settled in cities they liked along the way, while others, less fortunate, died at the hands of bandits or from illness. But most eventually made it to the desired Rome and, on returning home, felt like true masters who had seen much and earned their right to be called artists. In some ways, this trip was like the Hajj to Mecca for Muslims, an unforgettable, soul-shaping experience that was tough but essential for creative growth. These artists who made it to Rome decided to form a group, as they shared much in common. This is how the Society of the Bentvuegels, or Society of the Roaming Birds, came about, becoming a serious rival to the official Guild of St. Luke. To join the group, you had to go through an initiation and a baptism. The initiation was fairly standard, involving intellectual discussions about art with current members, but the baptism became legendary. It was a day-long drinking spree where the artists dressed in bedsheets like ancient togas, made speeches, drank wine at the expense of the new member, and gave them an obscene nickname. Then the real fun began. They held a baksheek procession in honor of the god Bacchus, partying so hard they shocked all the pious Christians around them. The members of this group believed that painting in the academic style, imitating Raphael, was boring and tedious. They were more interested in celebrating realism, portraying the gritty scenes of everyday life, like the act of searching for fleas. Why not? That was the reality that surrounded them, so why not recreate it in their art? Later, they were nicknamed the Small Caravagisti, with a derogatory tone. But these artists were far from untalented. Many of their works were executed at a high artistic level, and their themes were much more intriguing than the same old classical academic subjects being painted over and over again. They continued working until 1720, when Pope Urban VIII issued a decree to disband the society. They had no choice but to comply, but during its existence, the artists managed to create many interesting paintings that reflect life in that era far better than the usual, widely promoted academicism.